will learn more about water as a natural resource. Water is an important natural resource. It is vital for life on this planet Earth. So water is a very important natural resource. Children, let us know more about water. If we think about a globe, almost 70% part of the total Earth's surface is covered with water. 70% part is covered with water in the form of oceans. And this ocean water is generally salty, saline in nature, and cannot be used by humans in drinking or other agricultural processes. Out of this total 70% water which we have on our Earth's surface, 70%, you can say 97.3% water is saline or salty. That means this 97% water is found in oceans. And out of this 97.3%, 2.7% is fresh water. Children, 70% part is covered with water, and the 97.3% part of this total water is saline or salty, and the remaining 2.7% part is fresh water. And 70% of this fresh water is in the form of ice sheets and glaciers. ये जो 2.7% फ्रेश वाटर है हमारे पास, इसका भी 70% जो पार्ट है वो आइस शीट्स और ग्लेशियर्स के फॉर्म में अवेलेबल है अर्थ सरफेस पर. That means the 1%, only 1% water is fresh water. Only 1% part of this 2.7% part is fresh water, which is fit for human purposes, for human use. One more thing, students, we cannot create or destruct water. Water cannot be created or destructed. It means the total amount of water that is available on the Earth's surface remains constant throughout. ना तो हम इसमें कुछ ऐड कर सकते हैं, ना हम इसमें से कुछ डिलीट कर सकते हैं. इसका जो अर्थ का जो वाटर का जो भी हमारे पास में कुल क्वांटिटी है, it always remains the same. It cannot be created, it cannot be destructed. Students, as I told you that water cannot be added or subtracted. The quantity of water always remains the same on the surface of the earth. Now, how this quantity maintains, how the nature maintains the quantity of water? For that, we need to understand water cycle. Now, what is water cycle? Actually, water cycle is a process in which evaporation and transpiration takes place. Now what is evaporation? When the large water bodies gets heated up, they release the surface water in the form of vapors, and the vapors rises up. This process is known as evaporation. And transpiration, the trees also releases water vapors, and these vapors rises up, and in the sky the condensation takes place. Now what is condensation? Actually, when these vapors condenses along with the dust particles, condensation takes place. This is what condensation is. And then in the form of precipitation, the water comes back to our Earth's surface in the form of runoff water, and when the ground absorbs water, it is known as underground water. And this underground water rises up the level of the underground water. So this is the process through which we get water back to the Earth's surface. Students, what are the uses of water? Water is used for drinking, washing, agriculture, industries, generating electricity. In all these activities, water is required. Now, what are the factors which are responsible for shortage of water? Children, as you all know, that we are facing the scarcity of water in some parts of the world. So what are the factors that are responsible for shortage of water? The first factor is variation in seasonal or annual precipitation. Students, in some part of the world we see less rainfall, and there we observe shortage of water. Increasing population is another factor responsible for shortage of water, because if the population will increase, the demand of water will automatically be increased, and there will be a shortage of water. Then the rising demands for food and cash crops. As you know that for agriculture purpose we require water, and if we do more agriculture, more water will be required. Increasing urbanization in order to build the housing societies, roads and other buildings, water is required. Rising standard of living is also a factor responsible for shortage of water. And all this occurs due to drying up of water resources or water pollution. The shortage of water occurs due to drying up of water resources or water pollution. Now, in this, water pollution is important. We need to know more about water pollution. As a student, as I told you that there is a scarcity of water, and due to water pollution also we face the scarcity of water. Now, what is water pollution? Water, when we discharge untreated or partially treated sewage in water bodies, the water gets contaminated and thus turns in water pollution. The agricultural chemicals, actually the farmers are using chemical pesticides and insecticides, chemical fertilizers in order to grow, in order to get more crops. And when this agricultural chemicals dissolves in water, the water gets polluted. The third factor which is responsible for water pollution is industrial effluents. Actually, the industries, they use water and then that water mixes up with the fresh water and turns it into polluted water. So these are the factors which are responsible for water pollution. And as I told you earlier that only 1% fresh water is available on our surface for our use. So we need to conserve water because water is a very important natural resource. So now we will read about the conservation of water. So students, as I told you that we cannot add or subtract water. So water conservation is very important because water conservation is water formation. If we conserve the water, we will get more water for our use. So these are the different ways in which we can conserve our water. We can save water for our use. The first one is afforestation. What do you mean by afforestation? Afforestation means growing up more trees. Because trees attract rainfall or precipitation and we get more water. The second point is rainwater harvesting. Now what do you mean by rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting means to collect rainwater. Suppose this is your house and here you collect rainwater and through a pipe you get that water stored in a tank and that water can be used for future purposes. This is known as rainwater harvesting. One more method is there nowadays. A pipe is drilled deep into the earth's surface and then the water flows through these pipes and mixes with the underground water and thus rises up the underground water level. Lining canals to minimize water loss by seepage. Actually canals are used for agricultural purposes and we need to keep our canals intact so that there may not be any water loss by seepage. Sprinklers. Farmers must use sprinklers for their irrigation purposes. Actually, sprinklers require less water for agriculture. Another drip irrigation is also another means of agriculture irrigation. Drip irrigation means this is the source of water and through it a pipeline is spread throughout the field and there are holes in that pipeline and through that hole the crop gets water drop by drop through those pipes. This is known as drip irrigation. So students, these are the different methods of water conservation. So students, after water as a natural resource, natural vegetation and wildlife is another natural resource. In natural vegetation and wildlife, we will understand these many topics or points. This natural vegetation and wildlife occur in narrow zone of biosphere. Now students, what do you mean by biosphere? You must have read biosphere in class 6 or 7. atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere. When atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere. When the interaction of the three areas of atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere, we get biosphere. And this biosphere is important for ecosystem. These three areas are responsible for ecosystem. When these three areas meet together here. Ecosystem is a life supporting system. This is an area where the life flourishes, where the life evolves, where you find this natural vegetation and wildlife. Now plants. Plants, as you know, that plants are very important because plants provide us food, shelter, timber, oxygen, shelter wells, and they also protect soil. They protect soil as they bind the dust particles and thus stops soil erosion. Wildlife. Now wildlife is again very important because wildlife provides us milk, hide, leather, wool, meat, etc. Vulture. You know, vulture are scavengers. Actually, they are the cleansing agents. They are the cleansing agents. They feed on dead animals, and in this way they clean the environment, the nature. Children, wherever we observe heavy rainfall, we find abundant trees or forests in that area. And if the trees are in abundance, we'll find ample of natural vegetation and wildlife in that area. In dry areas, like in desert, where the rainfall is scanty, we find thorny shrubs and less natural vegetation. Forests. Actually, the heavy rainfall where the abundance of trees, we find forests. And forests are of two types: evergreen forests or deciduous forests. Evergreen forests are those forests in which the trees remains green forever. Whereas in deciduous forests, the trees shed their leaves once in a year and they becomes barren without leaves. So these are known as deciduous forests. Students, extinction of natural resources. Extinction means when the natural resources, when there is a scarcity of natural resources. So what are the factors that are responsible for the extinction of natural resources? We will understand those factors in this section. The first factor is deforestation. Deforestation means cutting down of trees in forest. So deforestation is one of the factors that is responsible for the extinction of natural resources. Soil erosion. Again, the top layer of the soil. When the top layer of the soil washed away, it also leads to the extinction of natural resources because the soil will become barren and it will become infertile and no natural vegetation or other vegetation can be grown on that soil. Constructional activities. Due to these constructional activities, the natural resources are extincted. Forest fires, when there is a fire in a forest, a huge amount of trees get burned, and this also leads to the extinction of natural resources. Tsunami, landslide, poaching of animals, hunting of animals is also a factor responsible for the extinction of natural resources. Students, as now we have understood about the factors that are responsible for the extinction of natural vegetation and wildlife, so we need to conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife in order to maintain the ecological balance of the nature. In order to maintain the ecological balance, conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife is important. Now, what are the ways through which we can conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife? So, we will read it one by one. Natural parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves are to be built or set up in order to conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife. Awareness programs like social forestry and One Mahotsav. We need to give stress to such awareness programs so as to maintain the ecological balance of our nature. Laws on trades and poaching of birds and animals. We need to frame laws on trades and poaching of birds and animals, killing, hunting of birds and animals, so as to conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife. International conventions are also required in order to conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife, like Convention on International Trades in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Wild fauna and flora means thus natural vegetation and wildlife. And this prohibit trade and see if it does not threaten the survival. In these conventions, we need to discuss such topics or such points, and we have to look at it that if it does not threaten the survival of our natural wild vegetation and wildlife. 5,000 animal species and 28,000 plant species are to be would be discussed. The examples include bears, dolphins, cacti, corals. So these are the ways through which we can conserve our natural vegetation and wildlife so as to maintain the ecological balance on the earth. Thank you.